Hey everybody, it's Clint. It's been so long since I've done any kind of podcasting or videos or anything. And I've got a renewed hope that I'm going to be consistent about this and offer you some insights for living that are practical and will help you both emotionally, psychologically, and in your relationships day to day and moment to moment. So today I want to come to you with a really short one about how do you handle your anxiety? What can you do? And I want to give you a skill and a tool that's really easy to do and to practice. And as you practice it, you will find that your anxiety will come down over time, that you'll be able to tolerate and manage your anxiety and accept your anxiety for what it is at times. So we all get anxious. I get anxious. I get anxious about a lot of things. I kind of grew up that way. Real quickly, my parents divorced when I was 11, and that kind of blew up my world. And I kind of look at my anxiety and how is it's there to try to make sure that I am not going to be surprised by anything, that I'm out ahead of myself, making sure everything's fine and okay and all right, and that nothing's going to hurt me, that I can manage my world that way. The reality is we all know we can't. I can't be out ahead of myself trying to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, the next 2 minutes, the next 5 minutes. The reality is I'm in this present moment. So the skill and the tool I'm going to learn is how to be mindful. How do you really be mindful? How can you really be in the present moment? Especially when you're anxious and when you're worried and you're scared and you got all those feelings going on and ripping you apart. Well, first is you have to recognize your states of mind. We have 3 states of mind. Number 1, we have an emotional state of mind. In our emotional state of mind, if you can think of like a circle, state of mind here, in our emotional state of mind, we tend to judge things. It's going to be terrible, awful. It's going to be the best thing ever. It's going to be the worst thing ever. Things never work out for me. Oh, here we go again. We tend to make judgments, and they're very black and white judgments. Things will be great. Things are going to be awful. And from that, because we're making those judgments, we tend to get really anxious and really scared and really angry and really frustrated or really, really happy. And the reality is, it's a judgment. It's not true. What we feel is real because we really do feel anxious and scared and worried and afraid, and we really are making these judgments. But reality is, it doesn't make it true. So if you think about, this is your emotional mind. We all have an emotional mind. I've got an emotional mind. We also have what we call, if you think of another circle, a reasonable mind. Your reasonable mind is a part of you that can think through things, that is fact-based, that says, hey, what's really going on here? Hey, what are the facts about this? That describes things. And that's really hard to access when you're full of your emotions and your anxiety and you're worried and you're scared and you're afraid. That's a hard place to access in your life. So how do you do it? What do you do there? Well, I say first, can you recognize you're in your emotional mind? And if you're in emotional mind, you got to recognize, hey, I'm judging things. I'm making it worse than it really is. I'm telling myself how awful this is going to be. If I'm going to do that, can I step out of for a second? This is dialectical behavioral therapy. Can I just step out of that for a second? Well, Clint, how do I do that? I'm anxious and I'm worried and I'm scared. And I said, so imagine yourself, you can see over my shoulder right there. Maybe you're sitting on that couch right there, or you're sitting on your couch at home, or you're sitting in a chair at home, and you're staring at your TV or you're staring at a wall. If you can see yourself on the TV in a TV show or a movie, or on the walls of a movie screen, and you're on the movie, and there you are looking at yourself in your emotional state of mind. You're anxious and you're scared and you're worried, you're making tons of judgments, and you're telling yourself how terrible it's going to be and how awful it's going to be, and all those things are going on. And you watch yourself do that for 10 or 15 minutes. I walk in, or somebody walks in, sit beside you on that couch back there. I don't know what's going on because I'm walking in the middle of this show or this movie. So I have to lean over and ask you, hey, what's going on? What you're probably going to tell me at that point is something not emotional. You're going to give me a description of what's happening. You're going to tell me the facts about what's happening. So what you're probably going to do is say, oh, well, there's Clint. He's telling himself how awful and terrible this is going to be, but it's never as awful and terrible as he thinks it's going to be. The facts are things are okay and all right. The facts are this and this and this. So it's kind of like really watching a TV show or a movie that at times we see a character be upset and angry and afraid. We know more information than they do about something, and we know they shouldn't be scared and afraid and upset because they're going to find out later that everything's okay. Well, this is your reasonable mind sitting on the couch, watching your emotional mind. We all have those states of mind, and we can recognize them for what it is. So what I tell people is if you could take yourself off the couch and go join yourself in the movie, if the reasonable mind could join your emotional mind, what would you do? How would you make different decisions? Now, where your reasonable mind and your emotional mind meet, so if you think of a Venn diagram, so it looks like this. meet, what we have there is what you call your wise mind, right there in the middle. So where your wise mind, your emotional mind, and your reasonable mind meet, we call that a wise mind. And your wise mind is able to say, hey, wait, yes, I know I'm anxious, but what are the facts? So it feels real, and it is real that I'm feeling anxious, but it doesn't necessarily make it true. My anxiety may not be true. It's there to protect me. It's there to make sure I'm safe. It's there to make sure I'm okay. But what I may be experiencing may not be really true or factual. So what we do in our wise mind, and when we can join our reasonable and emotional mind, what we can do in our wise mind is hopefully we can say, hey, what's the one thing I need to do right now to make myself okay? Because what we tend to do when we're in our emotional mind, we tend to do 50 things at once and want to do 50 things at once, and there's no way we can. So in our wise mind, hopefully we stop judging. We do one thing that we need to do to make sure we're okay. We do things that are productive and healthy for us. We are assertive. I have podcasts on being assertive. We ask for what we need. I've had podcasts on having boundaries and limits. You can go back and look for some of those. I will do more of that in the future so you know what that looks like. Hey, I'm not angry and hurt and frustrated and yelling and doing things that are going to hurt myself. So kind of to cut your nose off to spite your face because I'm so angry and anxious that I can't do anything. So what's the one thing I need to do? How do I need to ask for what I need? How do I set limits and boundaries for what I need? How can I be assertive so people can hear me so that I don't look so crazy? So really quickly, I'll give you a story how this happened to me. So back at Christmas, we had a spot on our ceiling. Thought the roof was leaking. It was Christmas Day. I couldn't do anything about it. My wife asked me about it. Can't do anything about it. Got to wait. We'll see if it rains again. Let's see if it gets wetter. Well, it did. So that Thursday, I think after Christmas or whenever that was, it rained again. The spot got wetter. It got darker. So I called somebody to have them come out and look at it. I had to come to my office. I'm sitting here in my office. My wife calls me. Kind of asked when's the guy coming? What's going to go on? And she can hear my voice. I'm anxious. I'm in my emotional mind. And in my emotional mind, I am going through what's going to sound crazy. Oh my gosh, this is awful. We just had Christmas. We're going to have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars. We're going to have to replace the roof. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. Why can't good things happen to me? This always happens to me. Bad things always happen to me. I can't believe this is happening. And I'm going through all this kind of stuff. My wife picks up on that. She asks, why do you do this to yourself? Because I go through my emotional mind. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's going on. She said, why do you do this to yourself? And I said, well, I know because I'm almost 50 years old and I still am an 11-year-old kid waiting for the sky to fall because my parents divorced and it was surprising. And I think I have to be out of myself making sure it's all. So my anxiety has a purpose to keep me safe. The reality is, the facts are, I told her from my reasonable mind, I know everything's going to be okay. We just moved this house like 6-7 months ago. The roof's really only 3 or 4 years old. We don't need a new roof. It's going to be something small. It's going to be something very fixable. The facts are we'll be able to pay for that. It's not a problem. And so when I enjoy my reasonable mind and my wise mind, I can be wise. Yeah, it's going to be okay. Yes, I can calm down. Yes, I can do what I need to do. Let me just hear what's going to go on first. The guy hasn't been on the roof yet to tell me what's going on and what's happening. I don't know anything about what's happening. So I was able to calm down. Now, I still was anxious. So this is where the words accept and tolerate come in. So just because I can be wise doesn't mean my anxiety just goes away. Now, I know we all want our anxiety just to go away, but the reality is it doesn't. The reality is that sometimes we just have to tolerate it. We have to let it sit there. We have to accept it for what it is. So for me, I go through this process. Sometimes some mornings I wake up anxious for no particular reason. I ask myself a question. Why is my anxiety here? What's always here to make sure I'm safe and okay? So what are the facts? Am I safe and okay? Well, let me see. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Well, let's see, that's paid, this is okay there. Yeah, there's no reason for me to be anxious today. Doesn't mean my anxiety goes away right away. What it means is I have to tolerate it for another 15, 20 minutes. I have to accept that it's there and there's a reason why it's there, but it's not true. It feels real, but it's not true. And as I let it sit there and I am mindful about what's really going on and I'm in the present moment rather than out ahead of myself, it goes away. I found as I do this practice over and over that my anxiety shows up less. When it does show up, it hangs around less, and I am able to overcome my anxiety by being wise about what I need to do, what's really going on, and calm myself down quicker. So I hope this video helps you think through how to be wise. You know what your emotional mind looks like. You know the things and thoughts you tell yourself, and I hope it also helps you think through how you can be more reasonable, how you can step outside of what's going on and think about that just for a moment. I'm going to do another video on how you can do that just for a moment and another way to think about this so you can be wise and productive in how you think and how you feel and how you interact with others. If you like this, if it can be helpful, please pass it around, show it to people, let them know if they need it, there's something out there to help them that they can access. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you hopefully every week.